And so I know you got ordained during COVID, but can you tell me what life has been like since you've gotten into the ministry?
Yeah, I mean, a whole lot of preaching, like right off the bat, shoot, I think we were doing Bible studies and stuff prior to even being ordained. And then, the pandemic happens, and then it's how do you reach people, because everybody's at home. And, it's like, do you give up on it? Do you give up on the church? Do you give up on being a minister? And it's like, nah, we gotta pivot. We gotta really reach people regardless. And so, we went from being able to be in service and touch people and preach and that to we got to record everything.
Right.
And so it became, weekly schedules of, who's on first, pretty much like, okay, well, how many Bible studies can you come crank out on a recording? How many sermons can you come and crank out on recording? So that way we have content that we can release weekly, and really reach people. We started men's Bible study, and, I had never even heard of Zoom before the pandemic. But we bought Zoom licenses and said, okay, we can do men's Bible studies virtually.
Yeah.
And we began to do that. And, and ministry comes in multiple ways. It's not just about preaching and delivering the message. Sometimes ministry is just me being able to sit and talk with someone, and really just better yet, beyond just being able to sit and talk with someone, sometimes ministry is just being able to be a listening ear for somebody and what they're going through. So it's that kind of thing. And so it was taxing, trying to, figure out your family life and still, preach and deliver messages and Bible studies. But so many great things came out of that, because at the point that you have to teach the word, you don't have no choice but to learn it, And I tell people all the time, I'm no Bible scholar.
Right.
I'm reading the Bible. I got a Bible plan that I'm reading right now for the first time. I'm like, I'm gonna grind it. I'm gonna read this whole Bible in a year. And I'm enjoying this Bible plan and doing that because I'm able to just read the Bible as a story.
Yes.
Rather than just reading it to teach someone. So being able to read it as a story is allowing me to internalize it more. It's allowing me to see different things that I didn't see because I'm not looking to find specific points that articulate what God gave me as a title or God gave me as a message. I'm just able to take the story in. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so it's great. And then we had, our men's Bible studies on Mondays, our Man Day Mondays. And what cultivated from that was after George Floyd happened, we as men, we get on this Zoom call and we got men, elders, youngers all across the country on this call. And we decided, let's just talk about this thing. Let's just talk about George Floyd and what's happening. And when we did that, we got grown men really letting it out on this call, like, crying in tears, what they're feeling.
That was hard to watch.
Because, you're looking at it like that could be me. Because, we're raised with the thought of, man, as soon as that police officer pull up to you on a car, hands at 10 and 2.
Yes.
And we're raised in a different way. So seeing George Floyd, you going, that could be me. But that made us realize that there's more to ministry than just this Bible study.
Yes.
We really need to do check-ins with men to see where we are and give ourselves an outlet. So from that, we were able to cultivate another ministry, a men's ministry, that we called AYO, which just means, are you okay?
Oh, I love it.
And we would do a check-in with men bi-weekly. Where are you at mentally, physically, spiritually, and fiscally on a scale from 1 to 10? Where are you at? And we would just go around the horn and let every man talk about where they were at, how they were doing mentally, spiritually. And then through that, you have all these men on the same call. Well, you begin to have resources for what you're dealing with. Man, I'm really struggling financially. Man, here's some money, bro. You good. I'm really struggling in my spirit. I have a kid that's suicidal. Some other man on the call, man, I've dealt with that, man. Here, let me tell you how I've gone through it. That kind of thing. And you begin to see, you hear men going, man, 2 months ago we talked, and I was on here saying I'm at like a 3 or 4 mentally. Today I feel like I'm a 9.
Wow.
And you watch that transition
Yes.
in men's lives from through Bible studies and through the AO that really just brings them up in a way, and you're seeing them do life and go get married and those kind of things.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a lot that comes into ministry, like and it's a challenge, but it's one that God puts you. If He puts you there, you're there for a reason. And some things are seasons. Some seasons are better than others.
Yeah, I
But
love to see you giving back to other men, and that is so powerful because women, we always got women's movement and women's
100%.
right, and I'm not discounting them. Because women are still far behind men in pretty much everything, including salaries. But it's nice to see that you're sharing that men can actually get support within community, within church, and your ministry to other men, I think is just phenomenal because we leave them to the side, like to figure it out on their own, which is why mental health is such a big deal. Because if it goes back to what you said, if your value is on how you can provide for your family and how you can, take care of your wife properly, then, oh my goodness, yeah, something happens to your job, something happens, you don't want to go home and say, hey, honey, I lost my job. And I see that stress, even like it with my husband. He's got a new position and it is beating him up right now. And I can see it. I can, so I'm trying to leave him be, but also, he's texting and like, this is hard work, but my value is in my marriage and I appreciate you as my wife. And it's so important that you guys also have support, because I wish he was he's a deacon, but I wish I know he goes to the meetings and he does this, but I'm just wondering if he has that system where he's actually picking up the phone. And I'm going to ask him about that and utilizing it.
I encourage any man to find yourself an outlet. I'm fortunate enough to have guy friends that we're all extremely close. We're all married, and we give each other an outlet. We really call each other and just talk through things. I can remember when my wife was going through postpartum depression.
Oh.
That was something that I didn't understand, I didn't expect, and I didn't understand, why she was so different or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, really struggling.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I'm like, this is not the same person that I'm used to. Like, what's going on? And I remember I finally called one of my homeboys. He said, yeah, man, my wife went through the same thing. And he began to lay it all out there for how he did. And man, just hearing him say my wife went through the same thing made it easier for me to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So men, we need that outlet because nobody knows. It's tough. It's tough being a husband and being a father and, operating in ministry or just work in general. Nobody sees the moments that, you put your kids to bed and your wife went to sleep and then you just curl up in a ball and you're crying.
Wow.
Nobody sees that.
Yeah, men don't show that.
Yeah, and it's because we're raised to, you got to be tough and you can't be emotional and all that thing. And those are things in ministry that I'm trying to create safe spaces, but more so give men an opportunity to understand that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to just let your emotions out. You know what I'm saying? Let it out, because once it's out, it makes it tremendously easier to try to deal with it. But if you internalize it and everything that's throwing fire on it, it just makes it worse. Yeah. And you never know, again, who you might be in a room with that might be able to help you navigate through something. And that's what we have to understand more as men.